everyone. This is Jared RAND, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Thursday, September 5, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Tonight we're going to have a TFCC call. Actually not, we did that. We're going to have the reverse aging health call on Friday. I get mixed up sometimes on all the calls. But the reverse aging health call, we're going to talk a lot about the new direction of the planet for wellness for the body. That people are going to start gravitating to outside of the allopathic industry, because these formulations work. We talk a lot about the divine, the spirit, the higher self, the soul. In different religions, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But when it's all summated or summed up, our essence is the same in these bodies, is the same essence that creates universes and planets and everything. And the ego mind is not big enough to comprehend that. So it doesn't register, and that's why a lot of people kind of just snuff it off. Oh yeah, that's crazy. Little old me, and I'm this powerful being in the body, and I create everything in my life, and that's just not possible. And this is where that's the ego mind kicking in. But believe you me, civilizations throughout existence have evolved in a spiritual evolution. And what that means is that we're physical material, and we're spiritual. And we've spent a whole long time in physical material. And the main reason that we have these blanks as creations is because when we enter these bodies, we lose. It's an illusion, so we don't literally lose connection, but we figuratively lose the connection with the gods that we are, because we become distracted with the body. And at first, as I've shared, the body is an open vessel. It doesn't have any information. It doesn't contain anything until you begin to program it. If you took two children and the one child was raised in a really rough, non-loving environment, they would end up being twisted in most cases and do low-frequency things. The other child was raised in a loving, caring, nurturing environment. Most of the time, the majority of the time, they would flourish. And that's due to the programming that we have. Sometimes we program ourselves. Other times we just look at things. And it depends on how you perceive what you're looking at compared to somebody else. So when you look at it, the brain starts to configure and evaluate, and the ego mind's there, and you form it into your reality. If you spent your whole life, and the way you were raised, parents say, we can't afford that, we can't get this, you can't have that, and so on and so forth. You didn't understand that as a child. You couldn't figure that out. Why can't I have that? I don't understand. And you can't afford it, you can't afford it, you can't afford it. You would grow up the same way because of that programming. You would manifest your life to be lack. And the majority of the people on this planet they direct themselves to lack. And is it on purpose? No. It's just going through the movements and the association of information that you're taking in. So can you shift that as you, let's just say, mature, or as the body gets older and you have more exposure in your life and you experience different things, like we all do, and then you discover things on your own. You begin to question things. Just you. You're not, interacting with anybody. Just you. You kind of start figuring things out. Not from a negative standpoint, but just a discovery standpoint. You say, well, you know what? I believed this way for so long, but it's just not formulating right. It just doesn't come out right. So I'm going to look over here at this. And then you start experimenting. You say, I'm going to be in a good mood today. And I'm not going to allow things to enter in that will disturb me. So I'm just going to let them pass through me. And so you experiment with that, and you come out the other end, and you say, wow, this is really nice. I really like this. I like being this way. And you get more acclimated, and then before you know it, things that come in that used to disturb you don't disturb you anymore. It's not indifference. It's just that you're not embracing it. You're not pulling it in and emotionalizing it through the body and then creating it into your reality anymore. You know that if you focus on worrying, stressing, and fearing about money, you will have that your whole life. You focus not on the money, but on the joy of your life and how grateful you are for your life in that very moment, and you practice that, then believe it or not, the money will come because you're no longer in your own way. The financial security. We've been taught that in order to be secure, you have to have enough wherewithal to be secure. And even though that does happen with some people, they're still insecure. They're still questioning and doubting and worrying and stressing and fearing that, what if I don't have this? What if I lose this? That type of thing. But when you go into a spiritual understanding of the God that you are in that body, and you practice staying in the now, all that stuff just washes away. And you don't focus on it anymore. It's not there. And then if it does come in, it'll kind of sneak its way in, and you'll go, I'm not interested in that. That's just not something I'm going to embrace. That's all there is to it. And we have different perspectives, all of us do. Some of us will interact with inanimate objects. And because you remember when you were a kid, some of us had pretend friends. So by ourselves, we created this interaction. And like a little girl would have a tea party, and the tea party, you have to set the setting for like three or four other people. But they weren't there. But to the little girl, they were there. And she would have conversations with all of them. Now, how do you know that she wasn't really interfacing with other souls? See, that's what's interesting. Some of us will have conversations, right? Some of us will hear voices. Right in your ear, you'll hear a voice. Could be a female or male. And you embrace that as being real because you hear the voice. I heard this voice out of the clear blue. And then you say, maybe I'm going crazy. A lot of people will do that. Maybe I'm going crazy. What the heck is that voice for? And you remember, we're master creators. So we will create avenues of interaction for ourselves to experience. That's what happens. In other cases, it's the right and left brain communicating. Now, you see, it's not voice box voice. It's not, it's not someone like speaking to you directly and carrying on conversation. These are just voices that come in and you hear them. But you're not hearing them like that. You're hearing them from a different perspective and creation. So a lot of people think they're crazy because they hear these voices. Now, when you go into the now and you focus on the now, there's no voices. There's just complete silence. And when we're completely silent and we're not moving and we're relaxed into the body and we're focused on our breath, there's no voices. Zero. Ever. So where does these voices come from? perpetrated by the ego mind. And you can take energy frequencies in midair and create voices. Seriously, because so many of us communicate and talk. Where does all that go? Where does all that energy and frequencies go on our planet? Where does it go? It stays here. Those frequencies linger and merge and interact. Do you imagine all the conversations on this planet for billions of years? It's sometimes just like mind-boggling. But that's all in the mix, every bit of it. And it's you are the one, and I keep saying that because it's imperative that we embrace that and comprehend that. When we look in a mirror, you know, you're doing your thing and you're maybe getting ready for something, or you're getting ready for work and you're brushing your teeth, whatever. Do you, now some of us will look in the mirror and say, notice a wrinkle or a blotch or this or that, and then what do people usually say? That they're getting old. They'll say they're getting old. And that emphasizes that and accelerates it. But how many of us look in the mirror with complete non-judgment, zero judgment upon ourselves? How many of us look in that mirror and we look at our eyes? A lot of people can't look in the mirror at themselves because they're too much in the ego mind and the judgmental phase where they just don't care to look at themselves. I don't look at myself because, you know, I'm nothing what I used to be. These are all ego mind frequencies because of the superficiality of the body. And in the ego mind, material physical world, this is what we do. None of us are exempt from it. We all do it. And so people say, well, when the body starts to age, because it starts aging as soon as the baby comes out, starts aging. Little bit. But then as time goes by, it seems to speed up. That the aging process, you know, a year goes by and you feel like you've aged 10 years. Why is that? Because we're focused on yesterday and tomorrow and through the ego mind, and we become worry, stress, and fear about the body aging, the creaks and the bones and all the things that come with it. Instead of saying, I just had a conversation with one of our team members, and she said, I might be in my late 70s on the outside, but I'm 22 on the inside. See, that kind of perspective is a whole different ballgame. You don't say it just to say it. You say it because you believe it. And that is huge. That's the power of the God within us. And eventually, every one of us will stay young for as long as we choose. These bodies will stay young for as long as we choose them to stay young, period. We will be able to direct how we are minute, second, atomic second, every step of the way. Now, one might say, well, that's boring. That would get really boring. No, because we would continually create instances and variance in our life to experience. Okay. This is about the mastership of the body. It's what it is. You discover the God through the body and who you are in that body, and you're 100% confident, faithful. Your faith, your confidence, and your trust is 100% about that with yourself. So you'll look at that and you'll say, there'll come a point where you say, oh, let's just change it. I'm 23 now. I want to be the body. I want to be at 27. And you go to bed, you wake up next morning, you're 27. Seamless. Not some science stuff, Hollywoodized, but that's how it will take place. You want to reflect on past lives. You'll be able to do that. Oh, I'm going to go back 300, 400, 500 years and take a look at my life then. But see, the difference is that you'll be in a spiritual bond and not a material physical. So you'll view it differently. You won't view it with shock and awe and, oh, I can't believe I did that in this life. you'll look at it as a perspective and a reflection, non-disruptive. You see, because you will no longer be in the purely material physical existence. You'll be in the body, but you'll carry yourself differently as a omnipotently supreme powerful being that never dies in the body. And then you will know the body. You will know all the corpuscles. You will know all the cell structures. You will know the bone structures and all of it, all the quantum reality of your body. Every split second. You will master your thoughts. You will be able to direct your thoughts in whatever direction you choose, but it would be from a benevolent spiritual origin rather than a material physical ego mind origin. This is the transition that we're making as a species. Now the question is are all of us, in a way, going through this transition? Yes, we are. Some of us are not plugged into it yet, but it's still happening. Some of us believe that there's going to be something that's going to come in from outside of us and it's going to, and we're going to be all taken care of. It's all going to be done for us. We wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that as gods. We would do it this way to experience. And to experience the transition, that's how we learn. If someone let's say, drove for you since you were a kid, and you never drove. You never were behind the wheel. And then one day, the driver doesn't show up, and you want to go somewhere. What would you do? Now, you've never driven. You don't know how to maneuver, drive, or anything, shift, nothing like that. What do you think would happen? You would probably just sit there and wait until the driver showed up. This is kind of a dangerous area for the civilization because a lot of us have done that in our lives where we get acclimated to certain process and procedures where we learn, but we don't learn extensively so that we become self-adapting. And that's what a lot of this is about. We adapt to things. We experience them and then we adapt to them. If you took direction on how to maneuver a vehicle, but you never actually physically did it, and so when something happened that would literally motivate you to drive or get behind that vehicle and start maneuvering it, you would have the knowledge to do that. And then it would turn into an experience. But most of us, because we fall into ungratitude, because we get so used to something, we don't look at it from the perspective of saying, I'm deeply grateful that I'm able to do this. And one might ask, well, why do we need to be grateful? Why do we ever need to be grateful? Why do we always have to talk about being grateful? Because it changes your vibrational frequency. And we all know that we have been literally sequestered on this planet for billions of years, different civilizations, and gods in the bodies. And we lose the fact, as no one really ever teaches us, the power of gratitude. We don't, it doesn't register. If you say to a child that you should be deeply grateful for that, they wouldn't know why. Why? What's gratitude? What does that mean? So there will come a time where we will educate the young ones from what we've experienced and discovered about ourselves. We're not talking about math and arithmetic and all the rest of those basic subjects. We're talking about the God within. So when you plug into knowledge on a vast scale, and everybody in this civilization will eventually have that comprehension. So you'll plug into the collective consciousness, all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. What does that really mean? You will have access to all the great knowledge that ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, forever, throughout the universes. Because you, again, you're the golden drop of the golden ocean. You hold the essence of that ocean. You drop, that drop goes into the ocean. You become the ocean. And that's the way it is with the universe. It has nothing to do with, in the material physical world, you look at your body and you go, there is no way I'm this powerful being within. Now, you might superficially say to yourself, well, yeah, I'm a powerful being. But when it boils down to it, it's you don't comprehend it. You don't identify with it. Because you look at your life in the material physical world, living in yesterday and tomorrow, and you evaluate and judge yourself, and you go, see, that's not possible. We employ with ourselves belief mechanisms that convince us that we're not powerful, that we are not master manifestors, that we are not source creators, that we're the opposite. That's really powerful, because what that does is it negates our natural abilities to soar and expand. From experience, setting our lives in different directions so that we can experience. So we say to ourselves, that's not possible. There's got to be limitations. And we believe in that, so we give that power, and that's how we maneuver in life. It's like, I've used the analogy, is it's a group of people say, I bet you can't pick that car up over there, right? So that being says, okay. Yeah. So they go get a crane or a forklift, and they lift the vehicle up. Now, they didn't do it. They had something to do with it, but they used something to help them do it. And we have those resources, okay? Eventually, the civilization will be able to look at something that has weight, eliminate the gravitational force around it, and lift it with a finger. See, that goes off into a whole nother realm of comprehension. But this is what we're about, to keep expanding, growing, advancing. Not ego mind, just because this is what we do. It's just not like, look at me, look what I can do, you can't do that. It'll be everybody does it. And then it'll be kind of like a novelty. I'm not interested in doing that. You know, let's eliminate the deserts of the planet and, turn them into lush vegetation and water areas. And why don't we do that? As you well know, the deserts of this planet currently, the Gobi, the Sahara, they were oceans at one time on the planet. This shows you, see, the planet shows us what she has experienced. And through your imagination and your insightfulness through the God that you are, you immediately pick up on it. That was all ocean. Makes sense. Where did the sand come from? The silica, where did it come from? It came from the oceans. And remember, this planet is a water world, Class M water world. 30% appears at 30% above land and 70% water. And then beneath the surface is more water. And we are water. That's what's interesting. These bodies are water. Now, water can take on different forms and different kinetic energies and appear to be solid. But if you were to dehydrate these bodies, you would see a little pile of minerals, different variants in a powder form. Probably you could fit in a little bag. And for some of us, we look at that and say, well, that's not possible. We're more solid than that. In reality, we're not. That's why if you don't drink any water for 3 days, you start getting foggy. And your organs start to be affected. 3 days. No water at all. No liquids for 3 days. Why? Because we're water. These bodies are water. Doesn't it make sense that we're water bodies and we live on the surface and beneath the surface on a water world? these bodies are fifth dimensional. That's why we have 5 fingers on each hand and 5 toes on each foot. There's no such thing as coincidence. That's our true nature, to exist in a much higher frequency. One might ask, well, what the heck happened? What took place that have us in a 3-dimensional existence to experience? And it sounds strange to some people, but just to experience. Remember, material physical is temporary. God is forever. The pure consciousness, the collective consciousness, is forever. And it keeps expanding and growing. We move ourselves knowingly outside the material physical. We identify the material physical as something for us that we create to entertain us. That's all it is. But we're conditioned in physical form to worry, stress, and fear. And that begins to distract us. We become more involved with the material physical, and we move away from the spiritual. And one might say, well, we have over 50,000 religions on the planet and growing. That's spiritual. No, it's not spiritual. It's material physical. It's man created. Man, woman created. But it's created in the material physical world. And when it's all summed up, it's basically looking outside of yourself to find the answer. And the answer is never found outside of ourselves. And a lot of that is never passed on to new generations, so they fall back into the same belief mechanisms. They have not been able to reach outside and say, hey, wait, that's nice out there. Instead of being caught up in the material physical world, when people say, well, no, I'm not caught up in the material physical world. But when someone experiences, why do you think we experience things that are disruptive in our lives? What happens when something disruptive happens in our lives? We actually retreat into ourselves, where the God is, and then we begin to really appreciate and be grateful for things that we never were before. Somebody who has a NDE, near-death experience, and for them, they leave the body and they're shown different things by an arc, some being that shows them stuff, and they come back in the body. Numerous times, their lives have changed immediately. They look at different things. They used to be a real you-know-what, and now they're no longer a you-know-what. They're a caring, loving, consciously aware being, and their direction is to help others. What happens when we help each other, genuinely? What really takes place? Don't you feel really good, and you're not in material physical and expecting something in return? What's in it for me? You're looking at it from the standpoint, it just feels good. It feels good to help others. And it's our natural state of being. We're all one, even though it appears to be that we're not, through the illusion of separation. And we're not. So literally, when you help someone else, you are helping yourself. That's a deep comprehension. That's not superficial. When you go within and you begin to identify and comprehend that you're helping you when you help others. And they, in turn, are helping themselves when they help others. Because you're helping a part of you. The drop in the ocean, okay, We're never separate. We never have been and never will be. We are a massive body, or golden ocean, of pure existence, cosmic energy, which forms into different shapes and appearances, all interactive. So when you look at a planet and you look at your body, they're totally different, right? Planet's much bigger. You're much smaller. But the same essence is in this planet as it's in your body as the God that you are. So you're the one. I'm the one. We're all the one. Sometimes you hear co-creation. Well, it's because we're all a collective consciousness, and each one of us is creating. I look at it as that we're all creators, and we're all source creator. And you begin to unravel this, and it begins to have deep clarity for you within your heart mind. And what does that do? It then lifts the civilization into a much higher vibrational frequency. We are pure, deep, eternal love, our essence. Does it make any sense? And then you begin to comprehend what it's about. Does it make any sense that we are at each other? That's material physical. Ego mind. When you become much more aware of who and what you are, you'll recognize the fact that your natural state of being is deep eternal love for all things. If you're angry or you're thinking about somebody and you have the ego mind clicks in and you say some colorful metaphors to yourself towards that being, doesn't feel good, does it? But when you say to yourself, I'm going to flood them with the love that I am, and then I'm just going to walk on, then that animosity that's within you that you feel is gone. It vaporizes. And every time it starts to raise up, you do the same thing. You're not ignoring anything about yourself. And some of us have unpleasant days. All of us do at times. For some reason, you must have gotten off the wrong side of the bed. You're really ornery. Why is that? It's because we have immersed ourselves in ego-mindedness, even in sleep, so that when we wake up, we're unsettled, we're unbalanced. And as you wake up, you say, okay, so I feel this unsettledness, I'm going to go into the now. And that unsettledness diminishes. And you get out of bed and you feel good. Other times you just feel good to feel good. No particular reason. That's the God essence bubbling up to the surface. It doesn't last all day. It's fleeting, but it's there. And we've all experienced that more than once. So when it's all about you, everything, all of it. Somebody can sit up at a podium or in a cave and impart wisdom and experience to you. Yeah, you'll pick up some things. But it's up to you. Every one of us. And we're all supremely powerful beings in these bodies. We always have been, always will be. Whatever form we decide to take, see, with the energy that we are, we can take on any form we choose. We can inhabit anything. You want to know what it's like to be a pig? Then you go into a pig and you find out what it's like to be a pig. It's all about experience. You want to be a wolf or a bear or a gnat or a fly, then you incarnate into that vessel to experience it. Even if its life cycle is 3 days. It doesn't matter because all you're doing is wanting to experience creation. Whatever it may be. And it's in a way it's different for all of us, and in another way it isn't. We're all on the same path. We never leave it. We will, like I said, a dirt road off, and kind of interact over here, and then we go back on the path. It's the only path we're on. And you can't mess your life up, no matter what you believe in this very now moment that you've messed your life. Oh yeah, I'm nuts, or I don't know what I'm doing. Blah blah blah. That's all ego mind. And when we identify that without judgment and we embrace it, it just vanishes. When we run from it, it gets stronger. So it's an interpretation through the spirituality that we are, the true beings that we are in these bodies, is what the power is. You want a beautiful planet for all beings. You focus on that. You don't doubt it. You don't have lack of faith in yourself or the universe about it. You have 100% trust in yourself and the universe. And to you, that's what it will be. Conflict, worry, stress, and fear, we all know is ego mind. And we've had a lot of experience with that, a whole lot. And one might say, well, what makes this different, this particular time, and this very now, compared to the last times? Because you're actually witnessing the end of evil. That's the difference. Before, yeah, kind of come and go type thing, but still there. Now, you're witnessing the end of evil. The imbalance is being corrected. Who's doing that? What's doing that? We are. The collective consciousness. That's what we're doing. There always comes a space where the collective consciousness comes into the knowing that there's an imbalance, right? So we correct the imbalance and we balance it out. So the dark or the evil becomes real heavy as our frequencies come up. And its frequencies get heavier and higher frequencies. It can't float to the top. It literally continues to sink. It can't elevate itself. And as the frequencies continue to merge and increase on deep eternal love and our true essence, the evil begins to dissipate. Doesn't mean it completely disappears. Okay? It's like, here's the analogy. You have a long trench coat, raining, okay? You're walking along. There's water. You don't see the mud holes. And so you step on one, and so the rim or the seam of your trench coat way at the bottom gets soiled, dirty, right? Now, it doesn't spread up throughout the whole trench coat. It just stays there, period. Now, if you don't clean it, it just stays there. That's what's happening on this planet. And the ego mind is really in tune with the worry, stress, and fear. It's really in tune with all of that. And if you're mastered by the ego mind, you're going to experience that. But if you know that, then you can counteract it by increasing your own vibrational frequency, by loving you deeply and eternally, by embracing all aspects of you deeply and eternally, and staying in the now as much as you can. Prepare yourself before you get out of bed in the morning. Prepare yourself before you go to sleep at night. You get into that habit, it's amazing. I'll be awake, but I'm awake for half an hour, but I'm in bed, and I go through these sequences. I'm not, if I look into the worry, stress, and fear through the ego mind, I know that, So I do a counterbalance, and I go into gratitude, I go into silence, and I go into deep eternal love. And I go into deep gratitude. And then by the time I roll out, things are great. So in the quiet time of this meditation and the information I've shared with you, take out of that information what you feel vibrates with you. Focus on it, and your breath rising and falling, relaxed into the body, and being as still as a statue. I'll join you in meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into the body, focused on your breath rising and falling. We are always guided. It is natural to trust in the ever-present, loving, universal intelligence that's always guiding you, always helping you to find what you want in this life. Each moment it is assisting you to see the way back home to yourself. Once you start listening to it, you'll see how easy life becomes to manifest everything that you're dreaming of. When you stop to truly listen to what that gentle, calming, sweet, expansive energy is telling you, you know what you do, what to do with your life. In a few minutes of deep, intentional listening, you can feel truly fearless, unstoppable, and know that you are not living your life purpose. You're now living your life purpose. Every breath that you take in is another divine opportunity to tune in to your inner guide. The path is already paved smoothly for you. Simply trust the future. Open up to the highest vibration of that you know. And relax into receiving this wonderful and radical love. Who knew listening would be so cool? Take this with you for the rest of the day and the evening and night. The following morning, we will return here Friday, September 6, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call, and 9:15, a little after 9:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our reverse aging health call and all the rest. This universe is abundant and overflowing with positive energy. Just stop whatever you're doing and notice this. The moment you pay attention to this abundance, you are resisting it from coming in. Take 7 minutes and meditate on all the abundance in this universe right now. Let your mind get out of the way and explore what it feels like to think expansively. Know that everything you can imagine, everything that you can imagine, you can experience. Everything. Open your heart and allow the magic to flow in. We have a couple of glitches for the Zoom call today, and if you didn't get the link, contact my assistant, lifelight369 at protonmail.com.